Hey everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. It is Tuesday, January 28th. 26 years ago today, history was made. Do you remember? 26 years ago today, outside of the Ritz, the first pictures of Prince Charles and Camilla were fed to the public. First time is them appearing as a couple. That's right. January 28th, 1999, 2 years after the death of Princess Diana, they attended Camilla's sister's 50th birthday party, arriving separately, but when they left, just after midnight, they left together. And the pictures went all around the world. Now, this wasn't just a random, holy smokes, we caught him. No, this whole thing was highly orchestrated. In fact, really right after Diana died, the campaign to rehabilitate Camilla's image started. And it was conducted primarily and managed by Mark Bolland, who was Charles's right-hand man, private secretary for decades, right? Because here's the thing. Camilla was not well liked. Everybody knew. Everybody knew the way that she treated Diana from the very beginning. There's pictures of when Diana had only been dating Charles a short period of time of her and Camilla at a polo match together. You know? Camilla approved of the wedding because in her words she said that, Diana was young and she'd be able to be molded. She'd be able to, be kept under control because she was just a mousy young thing. Well, didn't they underestimate her? But yeah, like from the beginning, we know. And they talked about Diana at the time and saying, wow, there was Diana and the press. It's a double-edged sword. She sought attention, but on the other hand, the paparazzi just made her life a misery. And look, it's bled into the lives of her sons and, kind of thing. And but she was a manipulator. Richard K. in the trunk of her car being driven to a park so they could have a private conversation and she could feed her journalist friends some information she wanted out. People talked a lot about Diana in that way, like, oh, well, she'll cry and moan about this and that, but doesn't she love the attention? Which is true. Diana was a complicated person, not unlike others. But she wasn't the only one, guys. Oh, yeah. This is how Charles and Camilla, at the time whom they were seeing each other in private, hanging out at High Grove, all of Charles's friends accepted Camilla as the woman in his life, even when Diana was alive. So after she died, Camilla gained more power, I guess, or influence among Charles's group, right? She became, as Charles said to the Queen, non-negotiable. And, here's the thing. Camilla had her friends in the establishment who had friends in the press, and Charles had Charles had his friends and his friends in the press and his friends in the lords and this and that, and he had journalists that were sympathetic to him, such as Penny Junor. She's been a Charles apologist from day one. They all perpetrated talk about fake news. They all perpetrated the story that Diana was unstable, that she was crazy. Um, the eating disorders were the result of her being crazy. And, at one point, Penny Jr. even said, I believe so, if I'm remembering correctly, that, she should be locked up in a facility. Yeah, they really tried to undermine anything Diana did or said. And yeah, you know, she had her flaws and she was not a perfect person and didn't conduct herself, perhaps in a. But at the same time, you could understand it. You said, well, I understand why Diana had an affair. You're thinking, the only affair Diana, here's the thing. I'm trying to look at these people as people, not royalty, not Princess Diana, Queen Camilla now, but I mean just people. But the way they acted was horrendous. The way they treated Diana, the way specifically Camilla treated Diana, people knew about it. People say in Diana's camp, they knew what Camilla was like. She didn't care about Diana. She didn't care about the children. She cared about herself and her position with Charles, and that's all that mattered to her. And as far as Charles was concerned, Camilla was non-negotiable, to the point where, like the Queen, when they were seeing each other dating and everything like this during the Diana years and after her death, the Queen did never approve of Camilla. She wouldn't be in the same room with her. She did not approve. But now here's the thing. Charles, being the king in waiting, and this has been documented, he basically bullied his mother. He bullied the Queen. Here's the thing. Charles bullied the Queen and said, I want a proclamation. This is where we got to a couple of years before the Queen's death, when she made that statement saying, in the fullness of time, it is my hope that Camilla will be known as the Queen Consort, instead of some, garbled saying, what were they going to call her, Princess Consort, or all kinds of things flown around. But, here's the thing. Especially after Diana died and Charles and Camilla now, I mean, they had the boys to deal with. He kept her away from the boys pretty much. But, as far as the public was concerned and Charles was concerned, Camilla's reputation, people had to come to love her because Charles had always intended for her to be queen. This is the thing, right? So in steps Mark Bolland, the private secretary and confidant. He's been by Charles's side for decades. He recently, a couple of years ago, had to step away after that whole bags of cash for honors, millions of dollars, kind of that whole debacle happened with Charles. Well, that's gone away since he's been king, but Mark Bolland, and that was not the first time that Charles has had to sideline Mark Bolland and say, okay, all right, you have to resign because you were out of line, and then he always quietly brings him back. So that's maybe something to watch for, any little thing of Mark Bolland in the background. I wouldn't be surprised if he brings him in to deal with transitional issues. Let's put it that way. If you know my theory, you'll understand. And if you don't, take a look at my playlist, King Charles III, Life Imitating Art, and you'll see what I think's coming. But anyway, so he was brought in, and this whole event, January 28th, 1999, was set up by Mark Bolland. He knew they were going to be attending the birthday party. They were going to be arriving there apart and leaving together. Mark Bolland made sure that everybody in the press that had any sway at all knew that they would be leaving together and what time. So then you have pictures like this of, thousands of cameramen ladders. There was, the heyday of Princess Diana and the paps chasing her. It was just like that. They all showed up to catch that picture, the first official shot of the two of them together. Now, I think you know by now, and if you've listened to anything else I've said, I'm not a huge fan of Camilla, never have been. I think she behaved appallingly while Diana was alive. And people say, oh, but the love story, they should have been allowed to be together when they were 17 and all of it, and it's just love over time. But no, you know what? No. The way her and Charles both behaved was terrible. Diana was no saint, but she came into it as a naive young 19-year-old girl figuring Prince Charming, and I'm gonna be queen, and it's all gonna be, unicorns and rainbows and golden carriages, right? Because this is Diana had fantasized this in her head, and she didn't have a chance. She didn't make great choices, but what would we have done, right? Like she was looking for support, she was looking for love, she was looking for security. Terrible choices in men. But what are you gonna do? I mean, and she admitted to the James Hewitt affair. She didn't admit to all the others, even though we know about them. But, she was humble to a degree. She told the truth about, about that, right? And Charles and Camilla operated in the background to undermine Diana throughout the marriage and afterwards. And so the fact that some people today are celebrating 26 years since Charles and Camilla had been able to come out legitimately as a couple, as if this is some kind of milestone. Will they be shipping champagne later and cheers, darling, we really showed them Yeah, when you're that rich, it doesn't matter what you do or who you do it to. You get whatever you want. Um, I'm not a fan of Camilla. I'm becoming less of a fan of Charles. Knowing what you learn about him. He's just another globalist dingbat, right? And Camilla is just, she slept her way to the top, and she, isn't going to give it up. She'll play the game. She'll play the game. She's got what she wants. No matter, the whole time she's sleeping with Charles. You look at the pictures of Charles and Diana's wedding, and who is the liveried soldier on horseback trotting beside the friggin' carriage? It's Commander Tom Parker Bowles, who was a member of the Queen's Cavalry or something like that. I can't remember his exact position. Very close to the royal family. Yeah. Good friend of Charles. One thing they say about Parker Bowles, they say he's the man that gave, the old sayings, right? Well, he's the soldier that gave up his wife for the country. There you go. Yeah, instead of gave up his life, right? Yeah. Well, she's banging Charles, but Parker Bowles apparently was a swordsman, let's say. He was not unfamiliar to the extramarital affair. In fact, at one time, when they were all quite young, Parker Bowles was dating Camilla. They dated on and off for 5 years before she actually hooked him, because he was a real prize, right? And she didn't think, well, at that time she had no chance of legitimizing things with Charles, even though she was, so she was sleeping with Charles. She was sleeping with Parker Bowles. Parker Bowles wasn't in an exclusive relationship with Camilla either. Amongst his sexual liaisons, believe it or not, one was Princess Anne. Yeah. So you got Charles and Camilla and Parker Bowles all in this weird, like they never did things together or anything like that, but it's just, that's how close these friendships were. And it was an open secret. It's not like they were sneaking or nobody knew what was going on. This is how absurd these people are. They really don't care about anybody but themselves. So yeah, yahoo, let's celebrate Charles and Camilla. They came out as I don't know. People say, oh, well, it should have always been, and look, and she's such a great support to him, and maybe so. Maybe so. But you don't destroy people's lives in the process. Willingly. Intentionally. That's not acceptable. And that's why I find Camilla just unacceptable as a person, as a monarch, as anybody I would look up to at all for anything. No, Camilla doesn't have it. That's my thoughts on events today. Hope you like this video. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.